I've been money craving, started shoebox saving, made some puzzle placements. I know what this life gon' come with, know that they gon' go and hate it. They gon' switch.
Welcome back, Nationwide Sports Talk. Took the week off, but we're back with episode 114. But before we continue, gotta give the introductions. I'm Matt Mackey, live from West Virginia, wild and wonderful, y'all. And guess who's back in town? Live from West Virginia himself. Caleb, say what's up.
What's going on, guys? Hope everyone had a great week. Like Mackie said, we took the week off last week. We were pretty busy, but we're back and we're here to break down this national championship and a lot more. So let's jump into it.
Yeah, like Caleb said, we're breaking down the national championship game, and that's like a little late, but it's time to hear our thoughts about it all. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're just going to break down the whole transfer portal, what's going on, who went where, and some of the big names still out there that a college could grab, because there's a lot. I was looking at it before the episode. I'm just like, holy crap, there's a lot. There's tons and tons of players who are transferring. And some players are like, why are you transferring? Like, you should be staying where you're at because you probably ain't going to go anywhere better. But before we break down that, let's talk about this national championship game. So as everyone knows, Baylor beat the almighty Gonzaga 86-70. Now, kind of hurt my feelings to see because I wanted Gonzaga to win, but all I got to say is my one sports New Year's resolution came true. A new team won the national championship. It came true. It came true. Baylor came out on top. And let's just say I think this game was over pretty much within the first 4 minutes when Baylor was up 11-1.
Yeah. This one, it stung, and it's stinging right now talking about it too, because as everyone knows, I had all this hype around Gonzaga. I truly thought that they were just going to be the best team, and that just did not turn out to be this game. Baylor came out, like you said, they just seemed like they kind of won it when they were up 11-1. They came out hot, and they really didn't slow down at all. I mean, there was no slowing down this team. And it's, like the same thing I said with Houston and all these other teams that were in the Final Four. They made those stops when they needed them, and that's a key part for that Baylor team.
I just say Baylor was more dominant, more physical. I mean, like you said, they wanted it a lot more. I mean, think about it. They held Kessler to 12 points. They held Timmy to 12 points. Suggs had 22. But you look on Baylor's side, my man Jared Butler, 22 points, 6 for 14. Then you got Mitchell, who they're saying he's a top 10 pick from Baylor, had 15, 6 boards. They just played more physical. The physicality is what mattered the most. Like, you have the flashy team, the star power team Gonzaga, but then you have that nitty gritty, aggressive team Baylor. And if you look back to it, in any recent sports history, that team always wins. Like, let's be real, that team always wins.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that I've really took away from this game is, I'll say this first is, I don't know if you saw, but before the game, they were talking about both coaches had agreed that they were going to meet, after that cancellation game that they had on December 5th. Those coaches came up to each other and agreed to meet in the national championship, do the best that they could to meet in the national championship, and they actually did. I actually found that so, I don't know, that's just one of the coolest things I've heard. That those two teams are like, you know what, we can't play this game, but we'll see you back here when it really matters. But to be able to see Scott Drew in his interview when he got the Baylor job say, we're here to bring a championship to Baylor. Like, we're here not to win NCAA tournament games. We're not here to win Big 12 games. We're here to bring a championship. And this is what he does. He beats an undefeated Gonzaga team. I mean, I personally would say one of the best teams I've seen in years. This Gonzaga team didn't pull it all off, but still one of the best teams I've seen in years. And same thing for this Baylor team. I mean, they're also up there with that. But for them to get it done was crazy to me. And offensive rebounding was the biggest thing. Vital had 11 boards, and Gonzaga couldn't get it done at all, rebounding the ball. That's the biggest thing for that game was Vital down there just grabbing all those boards for Baylor. He was pretty much a one-man show on the backboard.
Thinking about rebounds, you look at the stat wise, Baylor had 16 more rebounds. Now Gonzaga shot 51% from the field, 29% from three. Baylor, 44% from the field, but 43 from the three. And that 38 to 22 rebound ratio that they did, it just shows right there. And like I said before, you get the rebounds, you win the turnover ratio, you're going to win the game, no matter what you're shooting. And that's how it should be. It's pretty much set in stone. You win rebounds, you have less turnovers, you're going to win. And that's what happened.
Yep.
They had 16 more rebounds. They had 5 less turnovers. And they shot worse from the field. But then again, they also shot the ball 18 more times than Gonzaga because 18 more rebounds. Do the math. It's simple mathematics.
Yeah, I also did you hear Vital? I believe it was Vital had an interview with ESPN. I want to say, and he said that they had heard that the Gonzaga players had already were pretty much celebrating before the game even started. Their perfect season, and just going back to what you said of Baylor wanting it more. You never celebrate way too early, especially going into a national championship game with a Baylor team that's this good. Just the fact of Baylor wanting it more, and it showed. I mean, I think the offensive rebounds are really what showed. Like you said, 18, and then out rebounding them by 18, and then getting up 18 more shots than them. Just proves that they wanted it more, 10 times more.
I mean, you could say Gonzaga was celebrating more just based on that buzzer beater that Suggs hit. I mean, you could say that's celebrating more.
Well, I heard that they had bought champagne before the game. We're already bought it, and then we're getting ready to celebrate. They pre-bought it, and then we're gonna use it for after the game when they won.
Oh,
is what I had heard.
Suggs better be doing that. I'm underage.
Yeah, I don't know. But man, so what do you think? You think this? I mean, this Gonzaga team, they have some young players, but you think we're seeing a whole different Gonzaga team next year?
100%. Timmy's leaving. Suggs is leaving. Kispert's leaving.
I think he's going to leave too, the junior.
I definitely know for a fact this is going to be a whole new Gonzaga team next year, and they'll win their conference like they do every year. There's no doubt about that, but they won't be a 1 or 2 seed next year. I feel like I think they'll never have another good recruit as Suggs. They won't.
I don't know. I mean, I could see them getting another 4 or 5 star. I just don't see them getting as dominant of a player. I don't know. I mean, personally, the way that I've seen historically black colleges getting these top recruits too, I kind of think that's going to be a big move in here in recruiting as well. So I can't remember what was that 5 star that went to Belmont, wasn't it? 4 star.
You talking about the one who went to Howard?
Howard, yeah.
What was his name?
No.
Oh man,
I can't remember, but I mean, football players have done it too. So I think that's going to be a big one. So I kind of am 50-50 on that statement from you that Gonzaga.
Maker.
Maker. That's right.
With Howard.
Yep. So yeah, I think that could be the new thing. But I think Baylor. I mean, Baylor's going to be a big recruiting portal now, especially with Scott Drew, what he's done. I think they're going to be good for years to come.
They definitely going to be good for years to come just because of Scott Drew. No doubt about that. But if you look at their roster right now, they're losing their whole starting 5 in my eyes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're all veteran players, and that's we've brought up all year that's one of the reasons that we think they're so good is because they're key veteran players that can really – they've been there, done that.
I mean, looking at the roster, Jared Butler's a junior, but he has not came out and said if he's leaving or staying. That's a big question if you want to stay for one more year, or do you want to go on top? There's that. Flo Thamba, his 3.6 points a game, he ain't going nowhere. That's a fact. Sorry, buddy, you ain't going nowhere. Bottle, senior, he's gone. Teague, senior, he's gone. I mean, averaged 16 points a game. He already boosted his draft stock this past year. So right there's 2 out of their 5 main key components. So that this Baylor team is going to be a whole new team next year too. So both teams are not going to be the same next year. That's a fact. So, like we said, there's a lot in the transfer portal.
I was going to say, let's go ahead and jump into that because we both looked at the portal right before, and I think everyone's kind of noticed like everyone and their brother is going to the transfer portal, but unless you really scroll down through it, you're like, wow, there's a lot of players in this transfer portal. I think this is one of the biggest years for transfers. And I think part of that's because they know that they can get that immediate eligibility because of COVID. So a lot of teams are going to be different.
Who you want to start with?
I mean, we can just start with some of the biggest names if you want to do that.
So, all right, let's start with Devin Askew. Start him. Devin Askew transferred from Kentucky to Texas. Texas got a new head coach named Coach Beard. Came from Texas Tech. So that Texas Tech program, a lot of his players are transferring now too. So let's break that down. So let's go with there. What do you think Askew, his transfer from Kentucky to Texas, is going to do?
I think it's going to help that team a lot. You see what Beard was able to do with McClung, allowing him to come in, play his game. Askew was a pretty good player for Kentucky last year. So I'm thinking he's going to come in, he's going to do his thing. And it's like I told you, with Beard down there in Texas, man, they better watch out because the name that he has now with the Texas name and the recruits he can pull from that name are going to be insane. And this comes to show with Devin Askew going down there. And he knows, okay, Chris Beard can do his thing. He made a little run in the tournament. Let's go see if I can help him out down there in Texas. And I think this is a great hire for Texas as well. Him being an alma mater.
100%.
And you got to get
a phenomenal hire.
And you had to get dipshit out of there too. So
Shaka.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go to the next one. Murray Burnett, the 34th ranked player in the nation last year in 2020, leaving Texas Tech. Because obviously my coach left, I'm leaving too. Why not? So where's he going? Alabama. Now, Burnett only averaged 5 points a game last year. And at Texas Tech, pretty much he played the backup to McClung. Let's go ahead and say that's pretty much what it was. So he's like, all right, I'll leave here, but I'm going to go to SEC to an Alabama team who just won their conference.
Another team who's going to be good for years to come, and a team who I think the same with Askew. I mean, Burnett's going to be able to go in there and play his game. He's a phenomenal shooter. He has great vision on the court. Like you said, he played more of that backup role last year. Alabama, I believe, are going to be. I can't remember if their guys have already declared or not. I think 2 of them have. So I could definitely see him getting a lot more key minutes there at Alabama than what he was getting at Texas Tech. And I believe he could really help this team get back to. I'm not sure if winning the SEC is going to be Alabama's thing because of that Arkansas team, but I could definitely see them being top 3 in the SEC.
Definitely love that Arkansas team. You know that for a fact.
That.
I love that Arkansas team so much. So let's just stay with Texas Tech because another player's transferring. Michael Peavy, who was ranked nationally 44th in the nation. He said, you know what? I'm leaving Texas Tech myself. And where is he going? Nowhere yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't
Haven't
think he's in
decided
that.
yet. So he's in the transfer portal. So more than likely, I feel like his best fit, his build, he might go to the ACC, mainly because a lot of players leaving the ACC, so they say, or he can go somewhere else in the Big 12 if they allow it.
Yeah, I could definitely see him being a good ACC player, especially with the way that he can spread the floor and shoot the ball. Um, One of the big things is I just don't see them allowing him to go in conference. I don't really see where they would allow any of these guys to go in conference, knowing how good of players that they would have to be going up against for that team. So if I were Texas Tech, I would not allow him to go in conference. Definitely would not allow him to go to Beard down there in Texas. But I think the ACC would be a perfect fit for him.
All right, another big name leaving. Some small school, but he was a big name and made that Memphis team known last year, pretty much, with him and Wiseman going there. Boogie Ellis. He said, I'm done. I'm leaving. So where do you think he'll go?
You know, he's from California. Big guy. I could see him going back to California. I think Mobley is going to be leaving USC just because of the year that he had and the run that they had. So, I could see him going to USC and just making that impact that Mobley had, and just being the same thing. I mean, they lost that guy the year before because of the draft, and then Mobley came in. I think Mobley's going to probably go into the draft, and then they bring this guy in. Just a never-ending circle for him.
I'm glad you brought that up. Do you think both Mobley boys are going?
Yeah, because isn't Evan Mobley's a freshman, right? And then the second one's a sophomore, right?
Yeah, Isaiah's a sophomore.
Yeah, so I believe so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, both brothers were key reasons for that tournament run. I mean, the team just really all bought in together, but they were a key reason, especially Evan Mobley. But I think Isaiah could be a solid second round pick.
All right. So since we kept talking about Texas Tech, we might as well talk about Texas Tech more. Mac McClung, I'm out. He's in the transfer portal. Where do you think he's going to go?
Come to WVU.
If they allow it in conference.
If they allow it in conference, and that's definitely one player I'm not allowing to transfer in conference. But especially seeing what he did to that team and brought the amount of energy he brought to that team last year. Man, this is hard for me to kind of pick where I think he could go because he can land anywhere and he can start wherever he goes. I don't see him going back into the Big East. I don't know. Maybe SEC. Maybe to like what if he joins like a Arkansas or Alabama?
See, I think Arkansas, they're not going to take any transfers because I think their team's loaded. They're all young and no one going anywhere.
They don't have any old guys?
They're all sophomores and freshmen.
Oh, dang. Never mind then. I mean, I could still maybe see an Alabama transfer, especially with Burnett going there too. But
call me crazy.
Just,
I was thinking like a Florida State transfer.
I could see that. To me, though, it's just, I mean, if you were him, what would you do? Would you transfer or would you go into the draft? I mean, I kind of feel like he's already solidified himself as a solid player.
Here's the concern about that. Like with the draft, the NBA, they love them 18-year-olds. The fresh 1 year done. They love that because they can have a whole career built around them. I feel like the longer you wait, kind of you can say your draft stock will just stay steady. It won't go up. It won't go down, kind of, unless they have more rising stars coming in as freshmen. So that's the only concern I have with you staying. And I get why people go right away, even though they're like not that good, but I'm going to go. So with Mac McClung's talent, they saw two different Mac McClungs at Georgetown, Texas Tech. So his best option, because he didn't do that well at Georgetown. 12 points a game, average, and in the Biggie, it's average.
Right.
You're the Big 12 and you're averaging 23. All right, we're seeing something. So I think they're saying you stay one more year and you stay like that, come.
And I could agree with that. It's very rare that you see guys stay 4 years. But I think like a guy like Javon Carter, who stayed 4 years, who has really kind of went into the league and filled out his role. I mean, granted, he kind of fell into like the perfect team around this time right now and in his part of his career, but he's playing the perfect role. And I think that could be McClung because like you said, that Georgetown year, he kind of had, like he was good. You know, he had some games where people were like, oh, wow, this McClung guy, he's the real deal. And then he had some games where they're like, okay, what are you doing? I thought you were a 5-star. But then he went to Texas Tech and really showed out, like you said, in the Big 12. So I could see him transferring and either staying after this year too and being a 4-year guy. And then that's where he really finds his role. And I think if he stays 4 years, he could be a late first round.
And I agree with that. I 100% agree. I think if he goes now, he's going to be a late first round either way.
I just don't think that, like, I guess what I was trying to say is, like, I just don't think coaches are going to go for, like, that 3-year guy. Like, if you really think about it, like you said, you either have those 1-year guys who had an amazing freshman year, or they've already had the hype around them like Zion did coming out of high school, or Alonzo, or you have those 4-year guys who proved themselves year in and year out, and then coaches were like, GMs were like, okay, you know what, we're going to take our shot on this guy because he was loyal to this team or he improved all 4 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see the 4-year ride being the smartest thing from
the 4-year ride, yes, definitely there if you're solid with one team.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
with the McClung situation, you're going to your third school in 3 years.
Yeah, can't jump that 4th year. That's why I'm saying if he does stay 4th year, you got to stay where you are.
Next transfer up, Chris Likes from Miami. The man averaged 15.5 points a game to 5'7" point guard. He's a senior, so he has that last year left. And take a wild guess where that boy's going. He going to Arkansas. And that's why I think nobody else is going to Arkansas because now they got that point guard they needed. Mosley's still there.
This team they're going to be good. They're going to be real good. I'm excited to watch them play next year. I didn't even see that Likes had committed to go there, but I like this a lot for them. Like you said, that's kind of the point guard that they needed. Him being a senior too is adding some veteranship to that very young team that they have down there. So I like this a lot for Arkansas.
It just makes you think, all right, this Arkansas team was good this past year. Now they get a 15.5 point per game point guard coming in.
What can they do now?
Exactly. The next one we can talk about is Noah Locke. Noah Locke's going from Florida to Louisville. Oh, excuse me. Noah Locke, he helped that Florida team out a lot, made them get you could say a nice little run, I'd say. And then he averaged 10.6 points a game. The boy out of Baltimore, junior. So he still has 2 years left, technically, you could say, because that free year of eligibility they got. And looking over his career at Florida, I mean, he averaged 10.6 past 2 seasons and 9.4 his first season there. So he's a very, you can say, rounded player because he does all aspects, supposedly.
Yeah, I think this is going to be good for them. Louisville kind of has struggled here in recent years. So, I think this is going to be a key player who can come in and bring a little excitement to this team, bring a little bit of energy too. and I think he can win them a couple games. This is also a pretty young team as well, and they have some pretty decent recruits coming in. They have 3 4-stars, so I think they'll be pretty good. Not counting the freshmen that they had not playing or barely playing last year as well.
Do you want to talk about McCabe?
Yeah, we can.
Jordan
The
McCabe.
20-year-old who's living the life of a legend. From Morgantown to UNLV.
Well, you got to start. He's in Wisconsin, then Morgantown, then he's going to Vegas now.
I didn't really watch much of this UNLV team, but I think this is going to be a perfect fit for him. The Instagram picture he put up of their jerseys, I'm not going to lie, look pretty tough. But I really want to see him find, his place where he can blossom, and be the player that everyone expected him to be when he came into WVU. He had games where he was he showed some excitement and showed some hope, but I just think he was a little too undersized for the Big 12. So I think him going to UNLV is going to be they're not going to be as big, so I think it's going to be a big help, and he'll be able to showcase his talent a little bit more.
I remember back in UNLV, you can say back in 2010. I'm not talking about back in the 90s and stuff.
Used to be dogs.
They were dogs. Them in New Mexico were always a 3-4-2 seed, no matter what. And now they just fell off. They fell off big time. And I think that McCabe going there is like you said, it's better for him because of his size. Big 12's too big of a player. McCabe going to a smaller conference is best for him. I'm glad he didn't go to any Wisconsin teams. I'm sorry, you would not fit well in the Big Ten. No, buddy. You going to University of Wisconsin Milwaukee, University of Wisconsin Green Bay? Come on now, bro. You're going to skip all the mid-majors and go down there? And I think that's what got his head thinking, all right, can't do that. Nah, I'm verified and everything. I can't do that. So he's going, I'm going to go to Vegas. And that's where he's going. I mean, think about it. That's where the draft combine is. That's where Vegas is popping. Obviously, everyone knows that. So he's made for that kind of city life. That's what he's made for, and I think it's going to fit him well. I mean, best of luck to him. I mean, yeah, you had a solid freshman year. Then after that, went downhill from there. But I ain't talking that one. So let's talk about Kellen Grady. Kellen Grady is transferred from Davidson to Kentucky. The man averaged 17.1 points per game at Davidson. Now he's going to Kentucky on a Calipari.
And he's allowed media eligibility too, which is, I think, great for this Kentucky team. A Kentucky team who, I picked them to win the SEC tournament. Didn't turn out very well because they lost first round. But this is a team who has young guys that just, I think, need a little bit more time and experience playing together and playing under Calipari. I think he's not used to having those dominant players who can just take over a game and win him a game when he needs to, and those one-and-done players. But being able to see him get a top transfer like this, I think, is key. He did the same thing last year, getting – can't remember who he got from the transfer portal, but he got top transfer out of the portal too then, and I think it's going to be perfect, especially with Higgins leaving.
And then also Kentucky got the man from Morgantown, Oscar Tshiebwe. That kind of came into effect in the middle of last year, so really not big news for anybody. It's already been known, but I think you think about who they got in the transfer portal: Oscar Tshiebwe, Kellen Grady, 2 studs. Let's be real. You got 2 studs.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Big O goes there and doesn't play like he played this previous year at WVU, right before he transferred, I think part of it was the trying to have two 6'8", 6'9" guys play block to block beside each other. Um, both guys who are very ball dominant guys at the forward positions. But if he goes there, and I really think that he's kind of already made them better just because of his size. I don't think Kentucky's really been up against anyone his size in recent years, let alone practiced and had someone that size in recent years on their team. So, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that this Kentucky team, I think this Kentucky team is going to be pretty good just because of these two transfers that are coming in with Big O. But I'm also going off of their roster they had last year. They were a good team last year. Just they're young, and they really struggled shooting the ball a lot.
Another team that's losing a lot of players, 3 of them for a fact. Marcus Carr transferring. Trey Williams and Jamal Mashburn Jr., all 3 Minnesota players, are leaving. Obviously, Marcus Carr, the biggest name. The man averaged 19 a game last year in the Big Ten. I think whoever grabs him, they're going to steal a player. Now, I don't know too much about Jamal and Trey, but it's crazy to think that you got 3 players who are very key components to your team leaving.
Yeah.
They say name at Texas Tech, but their coach left.
Yeah. I don't know too much about where Trey and them are going to go, but they're solid guards. I think they'll be able to kind of fit in, especially Trey Williams. I mean, he was a good guard there at Minnesota. He's not small either. I mean, he's 6'4", so he's not really lacking size at the guard position, and he can shoot the ball well. So I think these guys can land pretty much anywhere that they want to, and then same thing, just make that immediate impact on teams if they're allowed the immediate eligibility, which I'm sure I think all players are, aren't they?
I'm not for sure, to be honest with you.
I think it might be different if you transfer in conference, but
I think they're allowing in transfer conference because next one we'll talk about, he did it. Oh, you ready for me to talk about him?
yes, sir.
Xavier Pinson. He played on a Missouri team. You know how I like that Missouri team a lot this year. And I love me some Pinson. I love some Pinson, love some Tillman on the team. Xavier Pinson is transferred from Missouri to LSU, and it says immediate eligibility. Pinson averaged 13.6 a game as a point guard for Missouri. Played 26 games, averaged 26 minutes a game. He also got 3 assists, and he shot pretty much 39% from the field. So it's a good, solid point guard LSU is getting.
And this is a solid LSU team. I don't think they're really losing anybody on this team. So I think, yeah, the only juniors they have are Sharif O'Neal and Seneca Knight, and Sharif didn't really play that much last year. So this is going to be a good LSU team, I believe, for a couple years, especially getting Pinson in there.
And then let's talk a little about Duke. The players leaving Duke. Well, Matthew Hurt decided last night that he would come out and say he's declaring for the draft. Bastard. But I understand, man. I get it, man. But then you have Jordan Goldwire, the point guard, the shooting guard, pretty much. Scrappy defensive player. I'll admit that, but he's not a good scorer. Not happening. No. He's transferred from Duke. But then you also got the man – Jalen Brakefield, which Goldwire, it's undetermined where he's going, but Brakefield, they're saying, I heard WVU, but there's a lot on Ole Miss, which I don't understand why. Jalen Brakefield, right now on 24/7 Sports, 100% crystal ball is on Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, I mean, why?
I don't know. Like he's from North. He's from He's from North Carolina. No, my bad. Hometown's Huntington Prep.
I was gonna say, then he played at Huntington Prep, I thought.
Yeah, I saw
So,
Durham. That's what Duke said. Hey, that ain't right.
um,
And that's what they're thinking. He was going to go to WU because he'll play with Bridges back at WU, back in Virginia.
And honestly, I mean, that's where I think it kind of fits best for him. Especially with the Sheway leaving and then the possibility of Auburn going into the draft. I think this makes perfect sense. Come back home, play with Bridges, and play for your home state. I mean, I understand that you have the Duke name on your jersey or the North Carolina name on your jersey or whatever the case may be, but I'm sorry, what is Ole Miss on the front of your jersey going to do for you having WVU? I mean, we have the NBA logo. Okay, we have one of the greatest coaches of all time. I mean, and we have the most loyal fan base.
So, yeah, the fan base is up and down.
Well, yeah, that is true because our players were getting a lot of hate after the NCAA tournament loss, which is insane. But yeah, so Breakthrough, if you're listening to this, man, I'm WVU because I'm kind of scared for next year if we're not getting Deuce back and Carver back.
So let's talk a little more. I mean, honestly, like I said, there's a lot out there, y'all. So you're gonna annoy with it, but you're about to figure out where people are going. Earl Timberlake, Miami player. My man said, I'm leaving after his 9.3 points per game season. I'm going to go to Memphis. Smart move. 6'6", 215, small forward. Small move to go to Memphis. I mean, you got to think about who Penny Hardaway's your coach. That's a solid move. Then we can also talk about Jared Little from Texas, a 6'6", small forward, 180. He's leaving Texas, but it's undecided where he's going. So I'm kind of like wondering where he would go.
I'm not sure. I mean,
he didn't play so well. I'll admit that right now. I mean, he played an average 2 minutes. Yeah. No, average 11 minutes per game. Only played in 7 games. That's all he played in. But in those 7 games, he only averaged 2 points a game. But he's a 6'8" small forward, and you can work with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a guy who can kind of go anywhere he wants to as well. I think the biggest thing with him is that there was just better players ahead of him. And with these transfers coming in, he kind of realized, okay, Andrew Jones is staying there. Chris Beard was able to get him to stay for 1 more year. Then he was able to get these top transfers that are coming in. He was like, you know what, I'm not going to sit behind and sit back another year. So I think he understands that, he can make an impact on a team. Like you said, he was very limited last year on his playing time and what he could do. I just think also going off what you said, they need to work with him a little bit and get him a little bit more playing time too.
Another big name, Omar Payne from Florida. He said, I'm leaving. I'm going to Illinois. Omar Payne, he was pretty much a 98% ranked 4-star guy going into Florida from Mount Verde Academy, national ranked 45th in the nation in 2019. He does have some built around him, 6'9", 215 power forward. So I think Illinois is filling that role that Cochran had.
I agree. And I mean, like same thing you said with Cochran, he could defend, he could run the floor. And this is exactly what Omar Payne can do. He's a great shot blocker. And like you said, he has great size, being 6'9", 215. Illinois, they're getting a good one. Just not sure how it's going to work because that duo was a big part of their team last year with Io and Cockburn. But I think if they can find another combo guard, kind of like Io, that will complement and work well with Omar Payne, this Illinois team, I think, can have another great year like they did this year.
Talk about Walker Kessler from UNC. He made a decision. He's going to Auburn. Walker was the 22nd ranked player in the class of 2020. He really started off slow at UNC. I'll admit that. But let's just say he's a 7-footer, had 20 points in 24 minutes against Florida State back in February. And he can be a potential NBA star.
This is the white boy, right? The center?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't find him on my 27 Sports. That's what I was asking. I honestly saw that once he announced his transfer, and I'm not saying that this is true, but once he announced his transfer, that was like the final nail in the coffin of Roy Williams' retirement. He said that he just didn't like the way that basketball was going. For instance, he didn't have like you said, he didn't have a great year this year, but he has great size. I think he's very athletic, and he was a freshman. So, they had a preseason All-American, I think, in front of him, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like, just you got to work through stuff. You got to out battle the bigger dogs sometimes, or just wait your turn. And yeah, UNC didn't have the year that they had in previous years, but this was shocking to me to see him leave. And then you throw on top of that Williams' retirement. It's crazy down there in UNC.
I want to see what UNC is going to look like without Roy Williams. I really am.
They have I can't remember his assistant's name, but he's been his assistant for years, and I think they're still going to be good because of the Roy Williams system and attitude is still applied down there. But when you don't have that Hall of Fame coach on the sideline who has 900 plus wins, I think teams are a little less scared of you.
Yeah.
Whether it's the name on the front of the jersey or not, I think teams and players are going to be a little less scared.
Let's talk about a couple more here. Let's go about, you want to say like 5 more?
You can do that.
All right. Kudus Wahab, Georgetown center, who had a starstruck who helped lead him to the Big East title and make it determined finally. He's leaving. My man averaged 12.7 points a game. He's going from Georgetown to Maryland.
It's going to be a good fit. This Maryland team was and has been, they've always been a scrappy team. They were a scrappy team last year, and I think he's going to fit in perfectly there. Big Ten, we talked about it a lot. They beat up on each other all year long, and I think that's why no Big Ten teams made it very far into the tournament. And he's a player that likes to do the dirty work, and when he gets the ball, he's very scrappy, and defensively he's very scrappy too.
Player out of the Pac-12, Matt Bradley, who played for Cal, who averaged 18 points a game for that Cal team, who didn't do much this year. He'll get you buckets. He shoots 40% from the three-point line, and his physicality get him to the three-point line. He's leaving to go to the Mountain West for San Diego State.
And that San Diego State team was good this year too.
Mm-hmm.
And getting him, I think, is going to be a big help to that team. He's going to be able to make a big impact for that team too. San Diego State team, they should be pretty good for the next couple of years.
A player that needs to be looked out for in the Big 12 who's transferring in, Timmy Allen, played ball at Utah, had 17.2 points a game, and he's transferring and joining Coach Beard at Texas.
Yeah, getting him, this is actually what I was thinking of, which is why Liddell's leaving, is because Timmy Allen filling that small forward spot. He he was, like you said, phenomenal at Utah. Played great ball, and I think he's going to be able to go in and mend well with what that Texas team has, who they're getting back. I mean, like I said earlier, they're getting back Coleman, they're getting other transfers, and I'm sure Chris Beard, like I said earlier, is going to be able to get 4- and 5-star recruits with what he's done at previous schools and the Texas name on the front of that jersey.
Another player going from the Big Ten to the ACC, Myron Jones. Played at Penn State, averaged 17 points a game for Penn State, going to Florida in his career. He was a junior this past year at Penn State. In his whole career, 37.6% three-point line shooter, and he was an all Big Ten honorable mention. So I think this is a big help for Florida since they're replacing Trey Mann they had down there.
Yeah, and a big loss for Penn State.
100%.
I told you before the show, and I still don't understand it, and I don't understand it even more now. They're losing 7 players, and 2 of them are starters, Jamari Wheeler and Jones, but they were still in the top 10 for preseason rankings. Doesn't make sense to me. But
recruiting class.
I would assume so if they're still top 10. But yeah, Myron Jones, I mean, he's going to be able to go in and fill that spot. They have 2 good shot blockers down there now, and Florida is going to be the team. I think they're going to be a team to look out for too as well.
So you ready to hear another addition to the Arkansas team?
Mm-hmm.
Stanley Umedu, UMD, from South Dakota is going to Arkansas. He's already racked up over 1,500 points for South Dakota. Last year, he was second in the nation in scoring with 21.5 points a game, and he's going to Arkansas.
I mean, I think that call me crazy, but I could see where this Arkansas team could be not like undefeated like this Gonzaga team, but when they win games, they blow teams out. Like that's where I could see this Arkansas team being next year, blowing teams out of the water because of how good they could score last year. Excuse me, and how good they are going to be able to score this year with all the transfers they're getting coming in, the guys that are staying. Mackie, call me crazy. I think this Arkansas team might be able to average damn near 80 to 90 points next year.
They're a scoring machine.
It's going to be hectic having to defend that team. And don't put it past them either. They can defend the ball too.
I found out where Boogie Ellis is going. He's going to USC.
USC? It's a good fit. That's a really good fit out there. That's perfect. He's going to be able to fill that role then.
And
for Mobley.
Micah Peavy's going to TCU from Texas Tech.
To TCU?
TCU, yeah.
That's not a bad transfer. I mean, they are losing Taron Todd, one of their shooting guards from the transfer portal, so he could fill that role.
Now I'm looking at Florida's getting a lot of transfer ins.
I'm very surprised that they allowed him to go in conference.
I'm trying to think. All right. So we'll talk about 3 more. 3 more is going to be key components to the team they're going to. Because I'm looking at this one, another article I found that has a lot of different ones. It's telling me where they're going and stuff like that. All right. We're going to stick with Arkansas. They got another one. Audius Tooney from Pitt going to Arkansas, 6'6" guard who helped Pitt be offensively known, averaged 14.4 points a game only in 16 games. So Arkansas got another score. The second one I'll talk about, remember that kid from Rhode Island, Fats Russell?
I believe so.
The 5'10" point guard?
Yeah.
Who was a senior this past year and who I talked about in pre-show for college basketball?
Uh-huh.
He's going to Maryland.
Maryland's gonna be pretty good.
And then the last one I want to discuss is a boy who's coming into the Big 12, not going to WVU, Texas. He's going to Kansas. And you know what school he's coming from? Who had a phenomenal year? Drake.
That Joseph Yusufu.
23.2 points a game in the final 9 games of the year. The 6-foot guard.
Yeah, he 6 foot, 210 point guard. He kind of played limited time at Drake, didn't he?
Yeah, because he was a bench role because he was behind Shaquan Hemphill and then behind Roman Penn, and they both got out. Roman Penn broke his foot, and Hemphill was injured, so he finally got to start and play.
Yeah, I think this is going to be big for this Kansas team. Bill Self, I mean, he knows how to work those guards and how to make guards into NBA type players. With his size and his ability to score the ball, that's gonna be some hell on the Big 10 or Big 12. I mean.
So looking at the college transfer portal, I know there's more to come to see where everyone's going to go. It's getting pretty damn exciting.
Oh, yeah. I cannot wait.
So, Caleb, you want to talk about anything else before we end this episode?
I think that's it.
Well, all right, next week we're going to break down the draft because the draft's coming up. Talk about that. Talk about what we think about the trade-ups, all that good stuff. Then we'll give you an update on the NBA and how it's going down. LaMarcus Aldridge retired today.
That is true. I did see that.
Retired. So that's one of the Brooklyn Nets stars going down.
They'll be all right.
I don't know. They don't play well against the Lakers team. They didn't have their 2-star players playing. Just saying.
Well, that is true. That is true.
Just putting it out there. All right, Caleb, say your peace, love, and goodbyes.
Well, all right, guys. That was episode 114. Hope you guys enjoyed. We will see you guys next week for episode 115 with some NFL and some NBA. And we will see you guys next week. Have a safe week, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Like Caleb said, like, comment, subscribe. We'll be back next week talking about NFL draft, the biggest time of the year, the most watched thing in the ever. They say it's better than the first 3 rounds in NBA finals, playoffs, not finals, playoffs. Better than anything else out there because people like to watch it because it involves college football that everyone loves. Everyone loves college football. Stick that to your brain. So be back next week. We'll talk about the draft, about the college players you love watching. Boom. There's that. Like, subscribe, share. Follow us on Insta, Twitter. Post updates about what we're doing. Sorry about the late episode because we didn't get to last week. We both had busy schedules. Caleb did a big move. I had to work all the time. So it just didn't fit well with the schedules. We couldn't find the right time because I know packing and moving is a big haul on somebody. So with that being said, we'll be back next week. Stay tuned, and we're going to talk about the draft, and it's going to be a good one. The trade-ups and the weird predictions that the 49ers are going to do for the 3rd overall pick now, which I don't understand why. But they're doing something with that weird pick. Cowboys might trade up for somebody. And the Dolphins, with their first-round picks they got, what are they going to help build that team? We're going to talk about it. So stay tuned for next week. It'll be a good one. It's episode 114. I'm Matt Mackey, and I'm peacing out for the week. Peace.
Cause lately I ain't been the same, feel like